Great morning. How you guys doing this morning?
Good
I
morning. Here
am.
loud.
Yeah, I'm loud. You know,
Extra loud.
extra. I'm not trying to whisper. I'm just so stinking excited about today and today's topic. Trust. Trust. Trust is a big issue as it relates for relationships, all types, and we're not just talking about marriage. So I'm just going to talk a little bit as Kim goes through and tag a few people and let a few people know that we are on this morning. Also, I want to welcome Married to Stay Married this morning. This morning, we are broadcasting on the Married to Stay Married group page. It is a private page. However, if you're married, you're engaged, you've been in a long-term relationship, you want to seek this group out. I mean, it's an amazing group of people that offer support for marriage. So that's, I just want to throw that out there and say, welcome, Married to Stay Married today. Married to Stay Married, and we want to welcome you to You Prosper's discussion this morning on trust. Trust, again, is a foundation requirement for any and all relationships, regardless of whether it's your marriage, your brother and sister, your siblings, which is your brother and sister, but mom and dad. Trust is a big factor and is a big piece to having a great foundation for a relationship. So I want to say to you this morning, good morning again, and
Good
just
morning again.
give us a few minutes to tag in and get set up this morning. We are actually broadcasting on 4 different pages this morning, so we're trying to get set up so that we can respond to different questions and comments as they come through, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have some good dialogue this morning as it relates to the trust factors of life. So pardon us, give us a few seconds to get this set up. Are you good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think we're going into Married to Stay Married though.
I'll do it.
No, it's there. It's there. It's already there.
Are you sure?
Yes. Looking at it right here. All right. So, trust. Trust is a big issue. So how can we develop our trust factor to be trusted or to trust? One of the key things that I'm going to say this morning is that trust actually has to start within yourself. So trust has to start within yourself. Can you trust yourself? One of the key things that I have found is a lot of times we're not able to trust ourselves. Because we're not trusting ourselves, it puts us in a situation to where we don't trust others. So, as it relates to being able to trust yourself, how can we develop trust within ourselves? One of the things that I'm going to say is that we can develop trust within ourselves by being honest when we look in the mirror. Can you accept the responsibility for your actions? Are you willing to accept responsibility for your actions? Are you willing to be honest with yourself and say whether you're succeeding or failing? So when you're able to be honest with yourself, then you can trust yourself. Then you're able to make better judgments, better decisions, so that they're not an emotional factor. Emotions actually a lot of times will lie to us or create a situation where we're lying to ourselves because of how we feel. I feel like this is not going to work. So basically we trust the fact that we say we feel something that's not really pertinent to whether we can do it or not.
But why do we do that? Why do you think we do that?
I believe that we have a mechanism within ourselves that keeps us from being honest with ourselves. When we have a situation or a circumstance, we're not able to accept the fact of the participation that we have in that situation or circumstance.
Is that because we don't want to, typically?
It's because we didn't learn. Our natural learning did not build us that way. I didn't win because, and it's not because of me, I didn't win because there was another situation or circumstance that kept me from winning. I'm perfect is basically what we're saying at that point. So what happens when we start communicating with people throughout the community and we start offering, and this is what I say, we offer excuses. Great morning to you, Joanne.
Great morning to you, Jay.
We start offering excuses. And so when we offer those excuses, we're saying that I had nothing to do with the situation or circumstance. I was just involved. Now, when you start doing that and you have another individual that's involved in the situation or circumstance with you, and you're blaming something else for the failure or for the outcome of the situation, that person at that point has their defense mechanism comes up and says, I can't trust you.
Okay.
I can't trust, especially if they're very emotionally aware. If they are emotionally aware, they're not going to be able to trust you because you're not owning up to your participation in that situation or circumstance.
Okay.
So how do we overcome that? And again, we talked about being able to own our situations and own our circumstances in which we participate. It may not be my fault, but we have to be responsible. So if we're being responsible, then we become trustworthy to those that are around us.
That's true. That's true. Trust can get you a long ways.
It does. I mean, so
It speaks volumes when you're able to be trusted and you can trust. It's two ways: to be trusted and to be able
to trust.
To trust. Those are two ways, and those two things alone. The word trust speaks volumes alone, but when it goes in different directions, when those two things, it does. It means a whole lot, because when you trust a person and you trust a person for their word or take them for their word, and doing that means you're clearly saying, I'm not going to say believe, but you truly saying that they have the best interest, right? At heart for you or for whatever the situation case may be. They have that best interest. So you trust them, and trust doesn't happen overnight.
No, it's trust is something that's maintained. You have to earn trust.
Yeah.
How do you earn trust? It's one of those things that, I was reading last night in the book of Proverbs, and I want to say it was the 22nd chapter, where it said a good name is rather to be chosen than riches.
What does that mean?
It means you better have a good name.
Well, that's what I was taught. Listen, I was taught by my Mimi. Said your name, your last name, and your word.
It's all you have.
It's all you have. If you don't got those two things, she said you won't mount to. I'm not going to say you won't prosper in anything, but it won't go too far. You won't go too far because your name means a lot. That means when someone speaks your name, then you know what? It's not
your
like
reputation.
Comments, you know what? You can say, oh, they're good for what they say, or this person is really, really good. But as well as if you got your name and the first thing somebody...
You know them? Because your reputation...
You don't want to be doing that, but seriously,
oh
it's like when you do that, you have that reaction, and you don't mean any harm, but you have that reaction too. And that facial expression go on, and that sort of kind of, you can't always go off of what people
You can,
say,
but I mean, Joanne just brought up a good point,
what she said.
and she said, "Earn it by being honest, even in your wrong."
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and that's to me, you're right. I mean, you make a decision or something, and you're not right,
Right.
and instead of riding it out, because a lot of times our pride makes us ride it out.
Yeah.
You
Just say
know,
I'm wrong.
I
I'm
made a
wrong.
mistake.
That's it. No, but I'm wrong. But no,
Yeah,
no, but
I
because
made
that
a
cancels out.
mistake.
I'm wrong. Just I'm wrong.
Right.
I was wrong. And just say where you were wrong and being able. That's where you get ahead when you're being able to. You know that you're wrong. You acknowledge that you're wrong, and then you move forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not stay right there. Not stay. You can acknowledge you're wrong. Say you're wrong. Acknowledge you're wrong, and then you try to justify why you're wrong. No, you're just wrong. And then that's why we say that there are mistakes because you learn from them, right?
Right.
So when you go down that road again, or if it comes up again, there's a plan B. Or make that plan B now to plan A. I'm not going down that road anymore because I already know where it led me.
Right. So
I was wrong.
You know, and we've got some great dialogue here. Bernard said conditional and unconditional trust. And I think that we should have an unconditional trust. Trust. Okay,
But not based on conditions.
in the initial form. So in other words, if I don't have a relationship with you, and I've never experienced the situation or circumstance with you of you being untrustworthy, I should trust you, regardless of what somebody else says.
Right, that's good.
Right.
Because that's what we tell the kids. Until someone gives you a reason not to trust you, trust
Right.
them, then you trust them. You can't base it off of what the surrounding area or surrounding people is
Well,
saying.
other people said, because guess what? Everybody's situation and circumstance is so different.
Yeah.
And so someone may have been able to, your situation, your circumstance, your experience with that person may be different because the situation and circumstance for that person at that point is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of situations are different, or they seem like they're the same, but they have the similarities. They're
Right.
just stronger similarities.
Right. And so, Sherelle, you brought up let my life I live speak for me. And that's really
Yeah.
what trust is.
Yeah.
We look at stuff as far as credit reports and things of that nature, and we want to get our credit cleaned up. We want to fix our credit. And so, how do we do that? I mean, because basically when a lending institution extends us credit, what we're saying that, hey, I need to borrow this, and I'm going to give it back to you.
You can trust me that I'm gonna give it.
I'm
back.
gonna
On
give it
these-
back.
And those are terms and conditions, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because of the interest rate and all those things, you agree to those terms and conditions.
Right.
Now that comes with those two words.
That's trust.
That's
So basically, when we start looking at credit scores and things of the nature, that's your level of trust that you are able to establish with someone else. Yes, Joanne, being honest. Be honest. If you can't do it, say you can't do it. If you can do it, say you can, and make it happen. I think that a lot of times too with trust issues, we don't set expectations at the right level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's just give an example. Hey, I need to borrow $20, and I'll have it back to you next Friday, knowing good and well that you don't have any means or way to return it on next Friday, even though your intentions. Okay, because see, your intention is not trust. Your intention is what you intend to do. And so even though you have the right intention to return that money or that $20 on Friday, but you have to be honest, even though it sounds good. I want you to, I need this so bad that I'm willing to tell you what my intentions are, but really my intentions and the truth are two different things.
So you say, I need to borrow $20, and I can't at this moment. I can't tell you when I'll be able to return it.
Just be honest.
Makes sense.
Because at that point in time, they can trust you. The trust is only violated at the point in time that you miss what it is that you agreed to provide or to do. it comes even that way at work. It comes that way even within your family. At work, if you say, "Hey, look, I'll have this project finished by 4 o'clock," and 4 o'clock comes and it's not done, then I can't trust you to complete the project when you say you're going to do it.
Well, I mean, it all depends. Isn't that based upon circumstances though? Because anything can happen at work to prevent you from being able to, and not necessarily an emergency, but something else comes up that trumps what you're doing.
Oh, of course. But here again, it's about communication, owning it. Okay? Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to make it," instead of saying that, be honest and say, "Hey, I know it's 3 o'clock and I'm supposed to be done by 4. Hey, I miscalculated. I'm not going to be able to do that." So you're communicating before the deadline. That generates and that creates a higher level of trust. It even makes that person respect you even the more. We're dealing with a trust factor, and trust factors are not really personalities, they're character. Is your character trustworthy? Being that when the lights are out, can I trust you?
So how does this work in marriage?
So even in marriage, when we're dealing with a trust issue or trust factors of marriage, there's a piece that everyone has to be transparent. And that's really in all relationships. In every relationship, if you cannot be transparent with the person that you're in relationship with, whether it's a friend, whether it's your brother, sister, mom, dad, husband, wife, boss, co-worker, if you can't be transparent with that person, there's no trust there.
Right.
Okay. And so there's a reason that you're not transparent. Are you not trusting the person that you need to be transparent with? Are you not trusting them? Because at the point that you're not trusting them, now we're going to also generate a situation that if I can't trust them, then they can't trust me.
Right. Right. Well, I believe that people will give you, they give you the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes we give everyone the benefit of the doubt because once or twice, everyone messes up. Everyone comes short. We all do. But I'm talking about in trusting, you give the person a benefit of the doubt. Okay, this happened. And then again, at once or twice, you can do it. Maybe 3 or 4 times. Like I said, it's gonna continue to happen as long as we live life because we're not perfect. As well as when it becomes repetitious and in certain areas, not in all areas, but in certain areas, you have to go back and say, wait a minute, now in this area, do I got to think about it twice before I make this decision? Or we should be able to think about it once and say, okay, but sometimes we have to think about it once or twice in a certain situation, whether you want to trust them or not, right?
Right.
And that brings up the question, can I trust you in doing this? Can I trust you? And I'll be honest, when we first got together and paying bills, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look to the people. Don't do that. Listen. When we first got together, we were paying the bills, and he was paying the bills, and he said, take this. I think this is before you got the trucking company. Take this, put this in the bank, and pay this. Or it was already direct deposit and pay it. It was different things that were going on. And he'll say, can I trust you enough to pay it? Yeah, sure. You can do that. Did I pay it on time?
Did you?
No.
Inquiring minds want to know.
No, I'm admitting I didn't. But at that time, I was like, oh, I was going to pay it, but this happened and it went around. I'm sorry. And then it happened not once, twice, but numerous of times. And then he began to say, well, can I trust you? And then I got plumb altitude, not attitude. Altitude went up because I was like, man, why you going? I'm your wife and you going to ask me, can you trust me? You should be able to trust me. But that wasn't it. I was missing the whole point. The whole point was he trusted me, and he trusted me enough to get these things accomplished because it wasn't about me. It was about the whole household, the whole entire family. And so in doing that, he had to come back and question him, his own self and his own decisions. Am I able to trust you enough to get these things done? Because he doesn't like notices. He don't like anything like that. When we have it and it's due, pay it. That's all there is to it. Just pay it. Just pay it. Holding on to it didn't make a difference.
We had an agreement with them to pay it. Right.
But I didn't have that mentality. I had that mentality that I'll pay it when I can.
If I can.
If I can, and if I choose to. I mean, I'm just being honest.
But
That's me.
But understand this, and this is one of the things that I will say is that trust actually. So what happens is once you allow yourself to let your trust down, or you let your trust factor down, it's easier to not be trusted in other things. Once you slip in one area, it's easy to slip in another because you can justify. Oh well, you know, trust is very conditional, but it should be unconditional.
Yeah, it should be. It should be, but as well as it's life though. You know, it's a part of life, and it's a part of life that you continue to grow in, because everybody's trust level is not the same and will not remain the same ever. You believe
Right,
that?
because you have situations and circumstances that happen. So let's just
So
say,
it's
for
either
instance,
increases or decreases.
Right.
It'll ride like this for a minute.
So you take a person that's been in business with someone else. Okay, they had a business partner, and one day they woke up to take care of business, and the business partner had cleaned them out. So understand this: that business partner or that person that's in business will never trust business again, ever.
Yeah.
They won't trust they won't trust it. Bernard, you had trust and interest, and that's a great word. Let's see here. Quintus McDonald, my friend, good morning to you.
Nicole Green came for me. Did you see that?
Let's see, I already knew that answer, but glad to see how
Because
far
I-
you got.
See what else she said? She tried to
Cole,
find me.
you
don't do
know
that.
that chick.
Don't do that.
She
Don't
used
do
to have
that.
a shopping problem.
Right there. See, what else did she say?
Let's see, what else did Cole say? Kim, so proud of you for being honest, because unless you've been there, you can't speak on it. Exactly.
That's true.
I mean, I think we've all had situations and circumstances that our level of trust was just not
It's not
adequate.
there.
It was
It's
just
not, no matter how much we want it to be, and we have the intentions on being. But when you put yourself out there, it's just like, you know, you put yourself out there, and you can say, "Oh, you can trust me," and that means that you've really, you know, spoken up for yourself and put yourself not on a pedestal, but you saying, "Give me some credit. You can trust me." Right?
Right.
Give me enough credit. You can trust me. That goes with the credit card. All right, I give you enough credit to pay this off. But if you don't, you're gonna have to pay for it double in the end. So
Right.
it's just like, okay, you trust a person enough, or we trust each other enough to do things, and then when it don't come, you look at them with the side eye, right?
Right.
Honestly, you really do. I don't care how much you love them, how much you care about them, been along with them. It's 30, 72 years. It don't even matter. There is some things that are still questionable, because
Right.
that happens on down during life, because in life we're still growing and we're still being able to learn.
right. And so a part of the trust factor is that you have to know what you can trust yourself with and what you can't.
Right.
And be honest and say, I don't think I can do that for you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because I used to have a bad habit of, I hate to tell people no. I just hate
Wait a
to tell
minute.
people no.
Wait. Hold it. You hate to tell who no?
People in general, no. But I've learned over the years.
But who have you practiced on?
You?
Kind of a mess is that.
No.
I don't
You know what I'm saying?
I don't hear that.
But
I don't hear no.
the thing of it is that you have to tell people no, because if you tell them yes and your intentions are to be able to do that for them,
Yeah.
but you can't, then you
Yeah.
become untrustworthy.
That's true. It does. And does it make you wrong or right? Answer that.
Yes,
Does
it makes you wrong.
It makes
Yes,
you wrong.
it makes you wrong
Right.
because you've told somebody that you can do something that you can't do.
Right. And but that's where the thing comes in kind of like you say I asked you, does it make you wrong or right? You said yes, you're wrong. But when you're that person, you don't look at it.
You
like
don't
that.
see it that way
You don't
because,
see it.
because
How am
what
I
you're
wrong?
right, because you're grading yourself based
Right.
on your intentions.
Right.
My intention was to do that, and we want people to give us the benefit of the doubt based
Yeah.
off of our intentions, not actually off of the fact of whether or not we did it.
Right.
I can intend on whatever all you want. I can intend on picking you up at 6 o'clock. I can intend on it. That's my intention.
Right.
But if I already
trust you
know,
enough?
right, if I
Right.
already know that it's going to be kind of tight for me to get there at 6 o'clock, I need to tell you straight up.
Right.
I don't think I can get there at 6.
It gets to the point of the matter when you begin to know, like Anthony used to work these long, he might go hours, and he would stay away, from home. And when this is when we first got married, and then as he got into all these sales business, his careers, it went on down. And when we first got married, he would say, "All right, I know we haven't went out on a date in a while, and our date night would be on Tuesdays at Snoopy's, 99-cent hot dogs. Don't nobody know nothing about that. That was our spot. That meant the world to me because number one, it was his time. Okay, just doing that. It didn't have to be anything big or extravagant, but it was Snoopy's. It was his time. So when he would tell me, I already knew sometimes that, all right, when he tells me he's going to be off at 6 and be home by 6:30, then sometimes, I would take his word for it, and I'd be like, okay. But it got to the point it started happening, and he would say, well, I had intending on, but. I had intended on, but, and okay, when you're working, I know that in sales things run over. And when you're making, when he the sole provider, it comes in that, okay, this trumps what we want to do. But every now and then, it's like, man, I trusted him, and I trusted him to say, when he said he's going to be there, he's going to be there. But it was several times that he wasn't. Now, did I lose trust in what he said? Sort of, kind of. But it wasn't a negative trust. It was like, he said 6:30, that means 7:30. It went to that. It went to that mode because you had been through it so many times. So I didn't look at you sideways.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't do. When I looked at you and I said, I didn't say that.
I wouldn't trip.
No, I didn't say that. Dude, I said, be honest. Pop ain't got nothing to do with it. Listen, I would say, babe, are you really gonna get off at that time? Right? And I said, be honest. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try my best. And it wouldn't happen.
Because I knew, the whole thing of it is even in that situation and circumstance, I knew that there's a possibility that I would have to work late. Yeah. I knew that. And so instead of me saying, I don't know, I would just say, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's because that's my intention. And then I would get mad at Kim because she was like, what happened to us going out? It's too late now. Because who wants to eat at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night? I mean, I would. But these are things that we have to understand. Even when it comes down to our children. When we tell our kids that, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we miss that, then our kids look at us as like, I can't trust them. Because I'm pretty sure that at some point in time that I've let my kids down. And I didn't look at it as a factor of whether they were able to trust me or not. I looked at it from the factor that my intentions were to do what I told them I was going to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, even in that, when I tell the kids how they demonstrate what they demonstrate in school and what they produce out of school and their grades, because I know what they're able to produce. Some have the bad grades, right? And then and they say, well, Mom, trust me, I'm gonna pass this time. But then we throw up. You said that last time.
Right.
You said that last time. So do you begin this? Do you distrust
them? You can't trust. Yeah, you can't trust them. You can't trust that they're gonna do.
You got to show me.
Right. You can't
that
trust.
You're gonna do that because you told me that numerous times.
You can't trust a person to do something that they've already shown you that they're not able to do.
Right.
That's crazy. If you tell me that you're going to be there to pick me up at 7 o'clock and you're always there at 7:30, then know that I can't trust you to pick me up at 7 o'clock.
But what if I'm there at that time at 7 at one time?
Okay, so you get one time.
And that's it.
No, but I'm saying...
But does that decrease your trust?
Yeah, it increases your trust back because basically everything as it relates to trust is relational. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I can trust you to do this, but I can't trust you to do that, which even though I can trust you to do this, because I can't trust you to do that will make me not trust you to do what you can do.
Right.
Miko, broken promises are the worst, especially when they're repeated. It's a disappointment. Yes, it is. It's a huge disappointment. Mm-hmm. However, I want you to look at things and ask yourself, and here again, this is one of the things that we have to do in order to not just build trust, but be able to be trusted. Mm-hmm. Because in order to be trusted, we have to trust. Mm-hmm. even if I wrong you to the point where you cannot trust me, you still have to trust me so that I can trust you.
Help me to help you.
Right.
Trust me.
And so basically it's one of those things that is, it's about being able to trust a person even when they're not trustworthy. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, but it's sometimes, let's be honest, it's hard. It's almost like when you continue, she's saying broken promises, when you continue to tell a person something and the promises are being broken. But as well as when you do that, you have to turn around and think, wait, you told me that and told me that and told me that. Not that they don't have good intentions on doing it, they do, but sometimes you have to say, you don't set yourself up, right?
Right.
To say,
Miko said that's very hard.
It is very hard. It's very, very hard when you're doing that. But you have to, as again I was saying, set yourself up and say, okay, I've heard you say, not that you don't want to trust them, but I heard you say that you would do that. But because of the history, I'm not going to get myself all wound up and expect this, because it could go the other way. There are higher chances that what you're telling me is not going to happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that person really, it comes to the point that that person really has to own up to you and say, well, why you don't trust me? Because of your history. You know what I mean? So my question is, now when you have a negative history, right?
Mm-hmm.
With not necessarily with spouse or with friends, but anyway, we're talking about a marriage. When you have a negative history, how do we build that trust? What are some things that we could do to build that trust?
Again, the thing of it is being transparent and being honest.
She said, thank you. Tell her thank you, Tanya Martin, for this lesson on trust. I'm learning a lot. Love it. You're welcome.
Nice. Yes. And so, we have always, we haven't had the most trusting marriage. I mean, it's taken a lot to get to the level of trust that we're at now. Mm-hmm. And so, it's one of those things, and Miko is right. Your guard goes up, and when your guard, because the thing of it is that you do have to protect yourself.
Yes.
We're the 3 G's comes to mind at this point. The 3 G's, and I don't know if any of y'all saw my motivational drive on the 3 G's, which is you gotta guard yourself, and basically what Miko's saying is your guard's up. Mm-hmm. Gauge yourself, and you have to understand what it is that you're doing.
So when your guard is up, it's already. You have to get to a point to where what are some things that we as women, because like do you question, dude, don't do that question, when our guard is up, stop playing. Listen, when our guard is up, say like if I'm extremely upset with you, mm-hmm. right, mm-hmm. and and I'm upset, and I'll get upset extremely because of a chocolate bar, right? Okay. Right? Mm-hmm. And I say, babe, dude, can you stop by and bring me a Hershey bar?
Nope.
And then he say, yes. Stop saying that, because you do. He said yes. And then when he gets here, my hope is all up on this chocolate bar. Now, I know there's more serious situations out here. I'm just giving an example about me, because I get real deep about that chocolate bar. Right? So, stop playing. So, when he comes home and I hear the keypad going off, I'm saying, okay, chocolate bar, right? So, and then he come up the steps all happy, or either on the phone, and he got a bag, right? So, and then in his bag, he got whatever he bought and whatever he's going to do, and sit his stuff down, come in. So, how was your day? Wait, dude, did you bring it? Oh, I forgot.
Man.
So when I'm that mad, I'm just using that example. When our guard is up, what are some things that you would do towards me to get
your guard back down? I think that the biggest thing is being able to recognize the fact that you've become untrustworthy or distrustworthy.
Dis.
Or whatever.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So
I
what
didn't go
would
to
you do?
school.
Dude, anyway, what would you do?
So I think it's the factor. Okay, so in the event that you have, and here again, when we start talking about trust, it's really about communication. And I'm gonna come back to your question, because Andrew made a statement, and let me go back up. Kendall said that she loved this ministry. Thank you so
Kendall.
much.
We're grateful.
Andrew just said that is it safe to say that trust is an action word like love? All the way.
Yes.
All the way.
Yes, it's definitely an action.
All
Definitely
the
an action.
way.
It's just like love. You have to engage. You have to put things out there in order to produce, right? To produce trust. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
You put yourself out there, and you do when your trust level in someone, or someone begins to not trust you on that level. You got to put things forward. You got to put some things in action so that you can earn or gain that trust, regain their trust in you.
Right. And so Sherelle said being transparent, consistent, and communicate effectively to rebuild trust. And that's exactly right. That's the answer to your question.
What was it? What she said?
She said be transparent, consistent, and communicate effectively to rebuild trust.
Oh, those are good things.
Okay. Joanne just said that is universal in marriage, and no one has a perfect marriage when change every day. You're so right. Okay. You're so right. And the thing of it is that, again, we have to be able to trust each other with the information that we give. I think that where we go wrong at with trust factors also is when we do effectively communicate with the person that has crossed that trust barrier, they get upset. So when you have a person that gets upset, whether it be your supervisor at work or it be your spouse, children, and they get upset because they are not able to handle the information that you gave them, that creates a level of distrust as well. Because now I can't talk to you because you're going to fly off the handle.
So you can't trust me enough to be able to have a civil conversation
or effective communication.
Because you're just going to hit, your altitude going to go up and you're going to hit to 20,000. And then that comes and begins to break off the communication, right?
Right, exactly.
Because it says that when I try to come to you and I trust that you're going to listen to what I'm saying, you know what? You don't listen. Because I already know automatically that you're going to hit the roof.
Right.
And so I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it do. And then you got trust going down and you got communication going down.
At the same time.
At the same time.
And so then, at the point that your communication level goes down, your trust factor diminishes. Kendall told me I look like my dad.
Oh, what is Bernard? What?
Y'all are lucky I can't put a GIF on here right now.
That should look good.
You see how she just said, "You, my little friend." But anyway, so here, Bernard, you can't trust her to say, you can't trust her to be your friend. I just flipped that right on you.
No, it's not like that.
Understand, again, when we start dealing with the trust factor, let's dig a little deeper, and I want to answer the question that you asked: is how do you break that trust barrier down? And I think that's one of the things that we have to do right now as it relates to us as individuals. And the way that we are able to break that trust factor down or to get that guard down, if you want your trusted guard to come down, you've got to first communicate to the person that's been just honest with you or dishonest. You got to communicate that with them and say, hey, I can't trust you right now because I feel like you have done this and I can't trust you right now. And talk about it. Now,
that's when it goes into action, like Andrew asked, is trust
an action. Yes.
Just like love. It goes into action then. If he's come to me and said that to me, that he can't be able to trust me in this area because of, because of prior circumstances, then guess what? I got to get myself together. I got to adjust my mindset and get myself together to put some action forward to where he can regain, I can regain his trust. You know what I mean? And doing that. So it's not just talking about it and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do better. It's just like love. You got to put up a show up, right?
Right. So Miko says, what if you can't communicate without confrontation? You can communicate without confrontation.
It's either you want to.
You've got to. So here, it's right. It's one of those things that I call being response able. I was reading a book, and I want to say, I can't remember the name of it. I read so much and everything runs together. But anyway, I was reading a book and it's called Being Response Able. And what it is that it's the ability to be able to respond in an effective manner with being able to get the exact expectancy of return in that communication. What happens? So a lot of times, like when Kim and I have conflict, instead of me really like lighting into her at the point in time that I have that conflict with her, I'll think out in my head how I'm going to approach the situation. And then as I'm walking myself through the conversation of how I'm going to effectively communicate with her, at that point in time, I can kind of, because I already know how she's going to respond. However,
Do you know all the time?
Just about.
Just about.
Because you already know that, because you don't know that I'm already planning. So I already understand and know what your emotional reaction is going to be. Mm-hmm. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to become emotionally intelligent so that my conversation is not based on my emotions, but my conversation is based on the fact of what I know.
Okay.
And so at that point in time, it makes me response able. It makes me able to respond with and get the results that I expect, not you expect, or not that anybody else expect. But I can steer the conversation in that direction because I've already thought out exactly how I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get pissed off because my object or the objective of this is to guide the conversation in the way that I can get my expected results.
And it's a process. In doing that, when you're doing that and you want to stay in control, first of all, you got to learn how to stay in control of yourself, right?
Yes.
Because it starts within you. You're having a conversation and you out the gate already said it's going to get heated. Well, you done messed up then, right? You already said it already, it's going to be heated. So you've already programmed yourself. As soon as you say this, it's going to get heated. Now, you don't trust yourself. There goes. You don't trust you. There's no trust. You don't trust yourself to be able to sit down and communicate effectively without the conversation going on 20K.
Right.
You don't trust yourself. So that's why out the gate you already say, oh, I already know what's going to go. I already know I'm going to set it off. Yeah. Why can't you say, you know what, I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to, in reality, I know that I can allow this conversation to hit left field. But then I do have the ability to sit here and say, once it begin, realistic goal, once I begin to feel like I'm getting ready to go in left field, let me go ahead and either stop talking or say, you know what, let's stop at this moment and give it a break. You're being honest with yourself because you already know, you know what I mean? You're being honest with yourself. You already know if you say another word, I'm going to set it off.
Okay, so, and then Miko says that's why she be quiet. Oh, do you really be quiet? Are you trustworthy at this point? Do you really be quiet? But because understand this, your emotions, and again, Kendall, you said your EQ won't allow it, and you're right. A lot of times your emotional quotient will not allow it, but you have to get that emotion under control. Mm-hmm. You have to. And there is a way to get your emotions under control. I typically am able to control my emotions as long as I'm not getting rapid fire. If I begin to get rapid fire, I'm in trouble at that point because you're gonna get my emotional piece that you're not really prepared for, and I'm really not prepared to even deal with me doing it. So I want to say that yes, that EQ is and then, you know, Miko saying she boils over. Miko, stop boiling over. Silence is golden. Sherelle, sometimes being silent is good. However, silence is not the answer. Silent for the moment might be the answer.
But in the end, it's not effective.
Right. So you being silent actually can create a situation of distrust.
But sometimes you have to be silent. No, right. I didn't say be silent and not being heard. Because silence sometimes speaks volumes, right?
Right.
But when you're able to come back, when I say silence, when there's silence, that means temporary, not forever.
That means right. Settle down and again, pump your brakes.
Means, you know what? Just let me slow down. I'm overwhelmed. Let me pull myself back together, and then if we're able to come back and talk about this the situation or whatever that came in between you, come back and then talk about it, so that both of you are not listening to hear or listening to respond, but you're both listening to understand.
Right.
And then you're in control. Now, if you have to hit that button, reset button 2 or 3 times, then so be it. Hit it. Do what you have to do in order to make it work for you. If you're striving and trying to regain that trust back, and you're committed to get that right, to get that person's trust back, you're going to do what you need to do or what is required in order to regain that trust.
Right.
That's what we do in anything, whether it's trust, whether it's love. It's in a lot of things we have to do. That's when we put forth the action and stop talking about it and just be about it, and just show that person that, guess what, that's what happened then, but now you can start, I'm showing you that you'll be able to trust me, and not just stop when they begin to regain the trust, but make it continuous, make it consistent. Just keep on. Not saying that you will ever make a mistake, because we all do. We all make mistakes. We're human. But you'll be on another level. You know what? And then they can say, you know what? Okay. All right. I can see that they're trying. You're trying. And you're trying. And then you begin to regain that back. And as you begin to regain that back, the wall
comes down
slowly but surely. It's beginning to be torn down.
So, Andrea said she agreed, but at some point it still needs to be talked about. And you're right.
Yes, not being solid completely.
Yeah,
it's just
never.
For that moment.
Right.
Because guess what? When both of you are at altitude and you're talking about being not
your emotions
each other,
are running.
You're going like this back and forth, and neither one of you are hearing what either one of you are saying. So it's no longer you're no longer talking about trust. You're talking about communication, and you can't even hear what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what you're not even listening.
Right.
So it goes from trust to not listening. Oh, just forget it, and being silent. But yeah, stop. Somebody got to stop.
Right.
Somebody has to stop.
So here again, you're dealing with a trust factor, and a lot of times it's funny because the truster violates the trust, and don't even realize that they've just become distrusted. Just through their actions, just through their response to the other person being distrusted.
Right.
So, I want to challenge you today to look at your trust level in your relationships. And I'm not talking about just marriage. I'm talking about in your relationships, period. Your trust factor as it relates to your brother, to your sister, to your family, to your coworkers at work.
Right.
Are you trusted? Are you able to be trusted? And are you trusting?
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're not trusting, you can't be trusted. And so we have to understand that trust is a two-way street. And we have to make a concerted effort every day to make sure that our trust is intact.
She said, but what?
There should never be a time where you can't talk about what brought us to that point. And you're so right, Andrea. I think that the biggest thing that happens, especially in marriages, and we're going to marriage because, trust is really, that's the biggest concrete piece that you have in a marriage at this point is trust in all relationships. Okay. And so what brought you to that point is exactly what you have to talk about. And I'm going to say this, and I know that you're going to probably have some people get pissed at this point and get mad and don't understand. But if you have a person that cheated in a relationship, and I'm going to show you how to equate this to even at work as far as your coworkers. But if you have a spouse that's cheated, okay, you have to ask yourself, if Kim was to cheat on me now, let me just give it a, if Kim was to cheat on me now, other than me going to jail for murder, but if she cheated on me now, I would have to go look in the mirror and ask myself what part of me driving her into the attention of someone else that I play. Right?
Right.
Because
not so much as what you did, what you
didn't do.
Didn't do.
Right. And so I'm not saying that the person that's cheating has a license to cheat. I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that everything happens for a reason. To every action is a reaction. And you got to find out what that action is. And to say that, oh, she cheated because she's a dog is not the answer. Or she cheated because that's her nature. That is not the answer.
Right.
Something happened at work. Okay? You got a person at work that ends up just coming in one day and just quitting. You have to ask yourself, what did you do?
Right.
What did you do to make that person feel like they want to quit? Because understand this, when we start looking at jobs, people don't quit jobs. People quit people. They quit the leadership. Okay? Same thing with our marriage. We don't quit the marriage because it's obvious we don't quit the marriage. I'm second time married. Kim's second time married. We don't quit on marriage. We quit the people.
Right.
We believe in marriage. We just quit the people.
Right.
So understand that and as Andrea said, at some point you've got to be able to ask and talk about what got you to that point. Let's see. All right. So we're coming to a conclusion today with trust. And understand, and I know that some of you probably are looking for, where's the Bible lesson in this? Where's the spiritual connection to this? And I'm going to say, thou shalt not lie. You know what I'm saying?
Really? But I mean, it is connected because we trust. We have you. Based on this, you know, I trust God a lot of things. I know there's a lot more who trust God on a lot of things. And in fact, we asked the question, can God trust us?
Oh, wow. Can God trust you?
Can God trust you? Because we ask for this. I'm just saying. This is just an example.
Huge. That's a huge
That's
question.
just an example. Can you trust us? Because guess what? We ask for things, or you know what I'm saying? We go to them. We want things more. We always want to go up and have more and do that. But can I trust you in it? When He gives us certain things, it's just a lump sum. It don't have to be money. It could be money. It could be anything. Can I trust you to be a good steward?
Right.
Over what you're asking me about? Because guess what? If you're not good, you're not trustworthy for what you have now, right? If you're not even taking care of what you have now, taking care of this, and then how can He trust you to give you something much bigger or more of what you're asking when you're not even a good steward over this?
Right. It's almost like asking to have your territory enlarged, but your
4x4 is tore up.
Yeah, you know,
it's messed up. It's not even.
I can't trust you.
Groomed.
Right.
But then and then that question goes back and say, but God, you say you'll give me the desires of my heart, right? If you believe, if you trust Him. So the same way you're saying that you trust Him, He has to be able to trust you. That's a two-way street. So that's again, the spiritual part.
Right. And so when I look at and so here, because we're on You Prosper, and I'm trying to talk myself and convince myself and forget that we're not on Married to Stay Married, we're on You Prosper. But so when I look at God, okay, where does God live? God lives within my heart. Okay, so when I start looking at the fact of, can God trust me? Now I have to ask myself, because He lives within me, can I trust me? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do?
And you know when you can trust yourself on certain things.
Oh,
and
of course.
You know what your capabilities and what you're able to produce, or whether you can trust yourself. How can you, I guess I asked the question, how can you ask someone else to trust you when you don't even trust you?
You can't trust you.
How can you do that? And you really realistically know that you can't even trust yourself. All right. Now, a habit. If you have a habit, like some people have.
I've had habits before.
You have a habit. He has a car habit.
Had a car habit.
Had.
I'm doing good.
Had a car habit.
I'm doing good.
Car buying habit. He had.
Golly. I'm
Now,
doing good
it's
now.
not that I had a big issue about it.
No,
He made
you
the
were
biggest
benefiting
issue.
off of it.
No, dude, it's not that. I'm talking about the cars that you bought for. Oh, no, share it with the people. No, share it with the people. No, could he trust himself? Because stop playing, dude. Listen, long story short, this is what he would do. He said, I'm not buying another car. I don't care. I'm keeping this car. He said, Kim, don't you ask for another car? Okay. Don't you ask for another? We're going to do this and we're going to pay this car. We're going to do this and do this and this. And he's already got it all lined up. Mind you, he's in the car sales business. Was in the car sales business. So I'm saying, all right, I hear him. Because I hear it all the time. And then next thing you know, he'll come and he's like, well, I had the opportunity to purchase this car, but I thought you weren't gonna purchase. Yeah, I know I said this, but, and it killed everything before. So that went on once, but twice. And the second time, I said, okay, you get up there, and he was up there with his, his co-workers and everything, and I guess his emotions got raging, and then the cars got all into talking about the cars, and I don't know, spinning tires or whatever.
Next thing you do, you're going home with it.
And then next thing you know, he didn't go home with it, but I got an email saying something about a car, and I'm like, what? What is this? This dude had already got in his mind that I knew that eventually it was going to happen. He said he wasn't going to buy it, but he did. But long story short, that he said, I'm not going to do it. He couldn't even at that moment, was he honest with himself?
No.
He was not, because he couldn't even trust himself.
Because my emotions were running too high.
And the next thing you know, here comes another car, Kim. So I'm gonna keep this car. I'm gonna do da. And it went on and on. So that's why I said it's best that, you know what, sitting here quietly with myself. Oh, best with yourself that you be honest with yourself. And when you're being honest with yourself, then you can expect others to begin to be or trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, I mean, just understand this. You got to be able to be honest with yourself in order to be trustworthy to yourself. Then you can be trusted to someone else. Trust is something that starts from within. Just like your victory, your victories are private, and then your private victories become public victories just through the fact that you can do it. All right. So we're going to bring the You Prosper discussion of trust and how to build trust, whether it's to be trusted or to trust. We really appreciate you joining in. Married to Stay Married, thank you for
everything. You guys, Mad Rock, all of you out there, we thank you for
everything.
Awesome. All the feedback, all the words of encouragement, everything that has been said, not even online, but even offline, the text messages, everything. We are mad grateful that we're able to come before
and facilitate
you and
even
be able to say something, being able to help you in any way, whether it's this way or that way, or this much or that much, but either way, because when we're able to come and help you, guess what? It helps us too as well.
Right.
We're able to see things between us that when the lights shut off, or when the doors are closed, when the camera is out, we're able to see things between us, because guess what? It still lives on. After we sign off, our marriage still continues on, and that trust still has to remain in between us. And so we're still living this, not the same life. We still have issues just as well as anybody out here.
Do you know what the difference is, though, with our issues? Is that we know how to communicate and get through them a lot quicker than we did.
Yeah.
And that's right. And that's the key to having a successful marriage. You're not going to have that perfect marriage where things are not going to be right. You're going to have to figure out how to get through that thing quickly and get on to the next thing. There's certain things that happen within our marriage, or that comes up now within our marriage, and we squash it because it's petty at that point. That doesn't, whatever.
Something else trumps that. We can go on and being able to where before we would spend so much time on that to everything else it was a domino effect. Everything else began to fall into lack.
Right.
So thank you, Miko.
And Tara, what's up with your Tara?
Hey, Tara, how are you?
What's up
and
with your
Sherelle Moore, the Moores. Thank you guys again. We appreciate everything and thank you for tuning in. And we don't take this lightly, none whatsoever. That you even took the time because you didn't have to do it. You took the time out your schedule to come in and to share and to hear what we had to say and the dialogue going back and forth. So you guys mad awesome.
I want to say this too. If you want to come here Sunday morning, I just ask that you be here by 9:45. If you want to come here for the discussion on Sunday mornings, you're more than welcome to come. I will say that I gave the address out last week. If you're interested in coming to here, to our home, and participate in a live discussion on Sunday morning, because basically if you're here, then you have the ability to dialogue, and it will be a dialogue and back and forth. Because we believe that in today's situation, I know that we talk about church and things of that nature, but if you remember that in the book of Acts chapter 2, when the Holy Ghost fell in that upper room, they were all speaking. That's key. They were all speaking. It wasn't one person standing up giving a dissertation. They were all speaking.
And they were all
in one Honda Accord. So, but understand this. I believe that in order for us as Christians to be able to move forward and to be able to prosper together, that's why we call it you, ! Prosper. We want you to prosper. It's not just about us living a great life, but it's about us all being able to live a great life. And the only way that you can do that is through being able to share your experiences and share your situations and circumstances. So I'm saying to you, if you want, you're more than welcome to come on Sunday mornings at 9:45. Just be at 9:45 because it does take a little time for us to set up, and we'd be more than happy to have you. Okay?
And it's going to give you a continental breakfast.
No, I ain't giving out no continental breakfast. You better eat before you come. Ain't nobody eating here but me. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm just messing. So, but you're more than welcome. I know that some of you are